embarrassing 40 points last week in Pittsburgh. Listen, this is not the San Francisco defense we're used to seeing. Patrick Willis, Aldon Smith, Justin Smith, Ray McDonald, they're all gone. They're not here. This defense needs to find their own identity. The big guys up front today need to find a way to put pressure on Carson Palmer in the pocket. If not, this could be a repeat outcome of week 2 for both of these teams today, guys.
All right, Tony, thank you very much. Jim Harbaugh gone. And for the last 8 years, 47-year-old Pennsylvania native Jim Tomsula has been the defensive line coach of the Niners. And now his first year as head coach. And, of course, for Bruce Arians, 62-year-old, also a Pennsylvanian. 23 wins over the last 2+ years. And you see 14 of 17 winning here at home. Although last year in week 3, the 49ers came here and beat Arizona. Their only loss. That one is through the back of the end zone. And down on a knee is David Johnson. So here comes Carson Palmer. 8 consecutive wins. No Cardinals quarterback has done that, going all the way back to the late 1940s, Ray Maloof. You go back even further. Palmer has won 15 of his last 17 games as a Cardinal, throwing 34 touchdowns and just 13 interceptions. Well, Andre Ellington again this week for Arizona, injured in week 1. Play action from the get-go, and down the middle it's Larry Fitzgerald, a first down to the 40-yard line.
Picking right up where he left off against Chicago last week, Larry Fitzgerald. And I think we're going to see something a little bit different today from Arizona than we saw last week. They kind of ramped things up last week in Chicago, trying to run the ball, establish things. I think they're going right after San Francisco. After the trouble they had against Pittsburgh, the big plays they gave up in the secondary, they want to test the confidence of the 49ers early and see if it's shaky. And if so, they'll continue to press the ball downfield.
They'll throw it again. Quick hitter, and again it's Fitzgerald. 21 on the first play, 13 on the second play. Take a look at Arizona. There was talk about the former Niner Mike Iupati, who they signed in the offseason, coming back. He is inactive today. Ted Larson again starts. Bobby Massey is back at right tackle. And plenty of weapons. Floyd, Fitzgerald, Gresham. Chris Johnson continues to start for the injured Andre Ellington. First rush of the game. Johnson tries to break it to the outside and maybe picked up a yard. It's incredible, the turnover. No more Justin Smith, Patrick Willis, Chris Borland, Culliver, Cox, all the changes. The only veterans really up front in Dorsey and Williams, and then in the secondary, the back end, Antoine Bethea.
Eric Reed in his 3rd year now as a free safety, but you're exactly right, Tom, as Tony outlined at the top. A lot of the names that people have gotten so familiar with in San Francisco no longer there. Who's going to fill in and start making plays as those guys did?
And making a play right there is Quentin Dial. He smothers Johnson.
Well, those guys,
maybe a half a yard. Tony?
Yeah, those guys up front don't have any problem stopping the run. They're number 1 in the league against the run. It's the pass rush where they have to show up today. They cannot let Carson Palmer sit in that pocket and get comfortable, or we'll just see them be moving down the field all day long.
Quentin Dial filling in for Justin Smith, says he likes to take a lot of Justin Smith's game with him, and he did on that last play.
Well, why wouldn't you? Justin Smith was an outstanding football player for a long time. Retired at the end of last season. Here comes a rush on Palmer. He gets it away, but it's incomplete. No penalty flags anywhere. So that's a big defensive stop right from the get-go for this 49ers team.
And last week they didn't get any sacks, 0 knockdowns against Pittsburgh. Watch how they come at them now. From your left is number 59. That's Aaron Lynch. He forced Carson Palmer to step up in the pocket, and the coverage was excellent downfield, provided there by number 36, Dante Johnson for San Francisco.
Of course, Jared Hayne, the rookie, made so much news. Former Australian rugby star. A fair catch in the 12. Kaepernick and the Niners get the football when we return.
game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
49ers, their first possession. Colin Kaepernick, 4-1 in his career. Against these Arizona Cardinals, 27 years young, out of Turlock, California. And hands it to Carlos Hyde for a 2-yard loss. Only the left tackle, Joe Staley, is back at the same position along the 49ers offensive line from 1 year ago. They moved Boone over to left guard from right guard, and a lot of questions everywhere else. But very good, skilled players, including the former standout with these Cardinals, Anquan Boldin. Once again to Hyde, and once again not much running room. And a flag comes in late.
Holding, offense number 66. This penalty has been declined. The result of the play is third down.
That's Marcus Martin, who is starting in place of Daniel Kilgore defensively for Arizona. Very athletic group. Campbell, their main man up front. Linebacking core, Woodley healthy after the shoulder injury a week ago. And a dynamic secondary that Charles and Tony will be talking a lot about the rest of the day. Third down. And Arizona has to spend a timeout. It appeared as though there was some confusion as to their personnel before the 3rd and 10. So we'll take a timeout. Third down coming up.
This game is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
From the 12, it's third down and 10 for the 49ers. Blitz coming. Kaepernick gets it away, and it's intercepted. And racing into the end zone is Justin Bethel. The first interception of the year thrown by Kaepernick.
And the Cardinals DBs, Tom, call themselves the no-fly zone. I call them the flock. And they had 7 in on this play. 7 defensive backs. Bethel able to read the play from his deep safety position. Look at the pressure in the face of Colin Kaepernick. Calais Campbell, 93 on the ground. And then over the top, number 92, Frosty Rucker. That didn't allow Kaepernick to make any type of a stride into his throw. Bethel picks it off. The Cardinals are up.
Bethel has been a Pro Bowl player on special teams each of the last 2 years, but a special play. A 23-yard interception return for a touchdown.
Today's game is sponsored by Chrysler. Celebrate 90 years of innovation at the Chrysler Anniversary Celebration event by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Burger King. Kick off fall with a new Oreo Pumpkin Spike Shake.
Well, ever since Bruce Arians took over as head coach, and of course he's known as an offensive-minded head coach, but he's had outstanding defensive coordinators, Todd Bowles, now James Bettcher. That is their 11th defensive touchdown in the last 2+ years.
Even go back to Ray Horton, who got things started here as the D coordinator with Arizona before moving on to Tennessee.
Andrew White, the rookie, will take a knee.
All right, let's go back and look at the interception. Look how they align here. Look at all these defensive backs for the Cardinals. 7. This is why I call them the flock. Couple that with the pressure that's in the face of Colin Kaepernick, and he has a tough time finding someone downfield. And Bethel sees it all the way from his deep safety position. Vernon Davis was the intended target, the tight end, and an easy pick for him. Great pressure up front. Calais Campbell, Frosty Rucker. End result, Cardinals up 7.
And the first interception thrown by Kaepernick in his last 142 attempts dating back to last year. They fake it to Hyde, and that is read beautifully by Minter, not going anywhere on the completed pass to Blake Bell.
Tony, team speed on defense characterizes these Cardinals, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. They have everything covered. They know this team like the back of their hand. Great job by the line of scrimmage. Look at all the defensive linemen. They go and they read it. They're staying in front of Kaepernick. They know that he is the most dangerous player on that offense. And they're doing a great job with the pass rush and keeping him in the pocket and staying in front of him. Very, very important. You can't let him get any confidence.
Second down and 10. Blitz comes again. Hyde can catch it out of that backfield. And he plows forward, enough for a first down across the 32 to 31-yard line. Carlos Hyde rushed for 333 yards as Frank Gore's understudy in his rookie year out of Ohio State last year. In week 1 this year, rushed for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns against Minnesota. But last week, nicked up early, a leg injury. Later, took a helmet-to-helmet blow. And Tom Sula decided not to bring him back into the game. He is very much a part of this San Francisco offensive game plan. And that's Hyde off to the left side, a gain of 3.
This is a throwing down. Look for Patrick Peterson, number 21 in red, to shadow number 82, Torrey Smith in white from San Francisco.
There's Smith, there's Peterson. Take it to Hyde. And again it's intercepted. And again it's a touchdown by Matthew. Well, you gotta wonder about that decision by Kaepernick rather than just throwing it away.
Or tucking it and taking the sack. Late, almost in the grasp, lets it go way too late. You'll see Matthew 32. He's going to be the key guy in Anquan Boldin because you see Kaepernick, he wants to go to the other side of the field. Then when he comes back across, it is too late and he's really got a lot of pressure in his face. And Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, back at 100% health, the knee fully healed, the thumb fully healed. 2 pick sixes, and the Cardinals flock in the secondary is swooping.
Boy, are they ever. 23-yard interception returned for a touchdown by Bethel. Now 33 yards returned by Matthew. And the highest scoring team in the NFL through the first 2 weeks. Scoring on defense. 14-0. Big Red.
Arizona Cardinals defensive backs call themselves the no-fly zone. I call them the flock. And so far today, they've had some impact on today's game. They're used in various positions, hybrid players in Tony Jefferson, Tyrann Mathieu. Those guys can play either linebacker, nickel corner, regular corner, safety. They're all over the field right now against San Francisco.
That one booted out of the end zone, and it'll be first down for Kaepernick and the 49ers, quickly down 2 touchdowns.
All right, and on the last interception, watch how this play unfolds for Colin Kaepernick, because early in the route, Anquan Boldin is open. Freeze it right there. Anquan Boldin's open here. But Tony, what happens?
He tries to step up, but he's going backwards when he releases the ball. When a quarterback's going backwards, he doesn't have all his power into the throw, and it floats. And that's exactly what the defensive back found. That's why it was returned for a pick.
Pitch it to Carlos Hyde, running room off the left side, turns a corner, lowers his shoulder, and makes his way out for a gain of 7. Well, you got to go all the way back to 2010 on Christmas Day, and that was with John Kidnett, quarterback for Dallas. The last time the Cardinals defense returned a pair of interceptions for touchdowns in a game. Read option there, and Kaepernick will slide his way to a first down. Well, you look back to this time a year ago, Jim Harbaugh, of course, still the head coach. 49ers had been to 3 consecutive NFC championship games, and look at the offseason losses. Pro Bowlers Davis and Upati. Gore, the all-time leading rusher. Smith released. Justin Smith retired. Ray McDonald released. Hyde maybe for a yard. They lost both of their starting cornerbacks. I don't know how in the world you find a way to try and replace those kinds of losses.
Completely new team from last year. Go ahead, Charles. I mean, defensively, I talked about it in the open, about they need to go and find an identity, but that offense also, those guys up on the line of scrimmage, that's going to determine whether you win or lose. Those big guys up front.
First carry for Davis, who made his NFL debut a week ago, replacing the injured Carlos Hyde. Corey Renning, the first defender there.
And to go further with your point, Tony, the big guys up front for San Francisco, if you look at the left side of the line, you've got an all-pro in left tackle Joe Staley. You've got an excellent player in left guard Alex Boone. But the center, Marcus Martin, is young. Jordan Debbie at right guard and Eric Pierce at right tackle really struggled against Pittsburgh. If you're going to bring pressure, that's where you bring it if you're the Cardinals right now.
Early movement by Staley, it appeared.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. It will remain third down.
I mean, that's the only constant at that position anyway. We brought up earlier that Alex Boone has gone from right guard to left guard. Staley, a 4-time Pro Bowler. So that'll make it that much more difficult now. Third down and 16.
And if you're James Betcher, the defensive coordinator of the Cardinals, if you're running any type of exotic blitzes, you go at the right side of the San Francisco line until they prove they can pick them up.
He's going to hand it off to Hyde. And he is spun around and tries to get to the first down marker, but appears to be about a yard short. Big collision between Dayon Buchanan and Carlos Hyde, and now they're jawing back and forth after a gain of 14.
It's a lot of young man coming at you, isn't it, in Carlos Hyde?
I'll tell you what, he runs like he's mad out there. I love the way he runs.
He does run with some fury. Dayon Buchanan, who's one of those hybrid safeties for the Cardinals, who plays a lot of linebacker. He's the one who met him first.
Bradley Pinion, rookie punter, replacing long-time punter Andy Lee, was traded to Cleveland. And we'll see where they mark him. October, of course, you think baseball. FS1 will be your home for postseason action, the American League Division and League Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history. It begins October the 8th on FS1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
See the 49ers trying to figure things out on their sidelines. Colin Kaepernick to your left. Blaine Gabbert, the backup quarterback, on the right. That's Steve Logan, the quarterback's coach, in the middle as they go through things. San Francisco more than doubled the offensive plays of Arizona so far, but Arizona up 2 touchdowns.
So now Palmer and the Cardinals start this drive from the 19-yard line. And Palmer again to throw on first down and looking for a bundle. What a catch by Michael Floyd. There is a penalty flag behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding, offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
That's Jared Beldier, the left tackle.
So one of their captains, Beldier, right there on the inside. Palmer takes it, but what a catch by Michael Floyd, who's trying to round back into form after 3 dislocated fingers in the preseason. He goes up over the top of Antoine Bethea and takes the football. That play will not count. Bring it back. First and long now for Arizona.
That was a beautiful catch, though.
I mean, what a talented player. He was their #1 pick in 2012, and he has been their leader in receiving yards over the last 2 years. But very, very slow to get started this year, as Charles mentioned, because of the injury to the hand. Across the middle and up to the 22 is Darren Fells, shot down by Eric Reed.
On the first drive Arizona had, guys, they came out firing. Larry Fitzgerald, 2 big chunks of yardage. Then they ran the ball and ended up punting it away. get the sense here, Tony, that Bruce Arians is going to put the hammer down. He always likes to say we like to go for the throat. Up 2 scores. I don't think he's going to try and run it much this drive.
Well, like you said, he wanted to start fast, and they did, but it was the defense, not the offense. But watching the San Francisco front line, the defense, they're playing on the line of scrimmage. They need to be in the backfield to put pressure on Palmer.
They took a big hit a moment ago. Now Fitzgerald, and the catch made up to the 47-yard line. And that'll be a Cardinal first down.
Larry Fitzgerald, who was reluctant to go into the slot when Bruce Arians took over the team, has adapted and is thriving in his role here. Remember, they were trying to reduce his, not effectiveness, but in terms of his role. They were trying to make Michael Floyd the #1 guy. Larry Fitzgerald is still the #1 receiver, even though he's moved inside, and he's doing the dirty work quite well.
He had 3 touchdowns in Chicago last week. The first time he'd ever done that in a regular season game. Penalty flag down, ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. The only time Fitzgerald had ever scored 3 touchdowns in a game was in the NFC Championship game.
And they beat Philadelphia to go to the Super Bowl.
Days of Kurt Warner.
There's a false start on the play. The play should not have occurred. False start. Offense number 68 was going from a 2-point stand to a 3-point stance. By rule, false start, no play, 5-yard penalty, however, with the first down.
That's the second penalty of the day on Jared Veldier, their left tackle and captain. Amped up for this one.
So we were wondering about Fitzgerald. They did not attempt to throw him a pass in the first quarter last week. He wound up with over 100 receiving yards and the 3 scores. But off to a quick start here today. 3 for 57. Dropped by Johnson. And another big hit on Carson Palmer. This one by Ahmad Brooks.
Yeah, they're bringing pressure. Eric Mangini's defense for San Francisco is starting to ramp things up with the pressure. And he was a free runner. Ahmad Brooks to Carson Palmer. He stood in there and delivered a strike. Chris Johnson didn't haul it in. He put it right on him. He's got to catch that one.
And now David Johnson, the electrifying rookie out of northern Iowa, in the slot to the bottom of your screen. What an impact he's already made. Fitzgerald, first down to the 49er 42.
Now, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, Tony. How is Larry Fitzgerald this open on this play?
And they only rushed 3 linemen.
I mean, he had Aaron Lynch over him. He gave him a small little chuck, but it wasn't anything to knock the big Fitzgerald off his stride. And Carson Palmer, that's easy right there. Offensive line gave him a clear sight line, and he delivers right to number 11.
You saw Navarro Bowman, one of the few veterans remaining on this 49er defense, throw his hands in the air, asking probably the same question. Quick hit to John Brown, and that's a first down inside the 49er 30.
And guys, this is an Arizona team here that's going for a big punch right now. I'm not going to call it a knockout in the first quarter, but they're going to really put San Francisco on the ropes. Bruce Arians, he doesn't back off at all. Remember last week when we wondered why is Carson Palmer still in the game? Bruce Arians' response to it was, game wasn't over, and we're always going for the throat. That's exactly what he's doing right now.
Brown and handed to Chris Johnson. And good strong run, his best of the day. That'll be a gain of 5. Second down coming up. Talked about the Arizona run game last week. They have not had a rusher eclipse 700 yards in the last 3 years, but over the last decade, as a team, the Cardinals have not finished better than 23rd in rushing yards per game among all the NFL. And only one time, in fact, in the last 11 years, have they averaged 100 yards rushing per game over the course of a year. Second down, Palmer, great protection, and guess who? First and goal.
Carson Palmer has all day in that pocket, Charles.
Offensive line's doing a great job. Fitzgerald's in the slot here. And Carson Palmer could have checked it down to Chris Johnson. But he wants the big chunks of yardage. And with the protection that you noted, Tony, look at this. Plenty of time to throw the football. He said, forget checking it down. I'm in the rocking chair. I'm going to throw it downfield. And that's exactly what he did.
5 catches for Fitzgerald here in the first 14 minutes for 90 yards. Blitz coming here. Jump ball. Not there.
Well played by Kenneth Acker, the corner who really struggled last week at Pittsburgh dealing with Antonio Brown. Of course, most corners in the league are going to struggle dealing with Antonio Brown, but he's a youngster, his first year as a starter. They want to check his confidence. He played that well, just as you pointed out, Tom. Look at this.
Oof.
That's pretty good career, too.
That's first quarter. Wow.
And San Francisco brought just about everyone on the last snap, all out trying to get to Carson Palmer. Let's see what Eric Mangini does here.
Right play of this drive, 2nd and goal. Blitz comes again, and again the jump ball. I can't remember the last time I saw that play actually work in a game. And they tried it 2 in a row. There is a flag down. Lynch delivered a big hit on Carson Palmer.
This looks like it's outside. I don't know if it's on the cornerback playing against the receiver. If that's what the call is going to be.
Illegal use of the hands, hands of the face, defense, number 20. Penalty to be assessed half the distance to the goal with an automatic first down.
And it was Kenneth Acker, the corner, working here at the bottom of your screen, number 20 in white. Got his hands up in the face of Michael Floyd early. That was quick. And boy, that's a good. I'm telling you guys, that looked like hand fighting to me. And I don't know if I would have pulled a flag on that.
I'm with you on that one. You got to let that go. Yep. Got a little too technical.
Well, penalties, a major issue in the National Football League, especially last week. We're going to show you some of the numbers, and not often do you read about this during the week. There were nearly 300 penalties last week in the NFL. 43 stoppages due to replay, most of all time. Likewise for a number of penalties since emergence.
That's unbelievable.
Chris Johnson for a yard.
And you know what coaches will say quietly? If we're going to have the CBA be what it is, which is terrific, and you don't get the same practice time, the same amount of repetitions, the same work, penalties will continue to rise in a lot of ways. We're getting a lot of holdings, right, because timing's off. We're getting a number of those plays downfield because there's an increased emphasis on making sure the receivers aren't contacted. So those things keep happening. That's part of what we're getting with the new style of game.
2nd down and goal. They pitch it to Johnson. What a play made behind the line of scrimmage by the veteran Antoine Bethea, and another penalty flag comes down.
That's going to be a face mask, guys.
Yeah, it was a great play that turned into a bad one, didn't it, Tony?
Yes, it did.
Bethea is just an outstanding player. His 2nd year with the 49ers. 3-time Pro Bowl safety.
Tom, you nailed it. How fast did he flash and show up on that play?
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, defense number 41. This penalty will be assessed half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And as a defender, you're saying to yourself, didn't the running back hit me first with a hand that was up around the face area? It is tough for these defenders because so many things have had to be altered for them. Where you're hitting, where you're contacted, how you're grabbing, how you're grasping.
Previous spot.
You're asking a lot for these guys because it looked initially to me that Chris Johnson with a straight arm got his hand up in Antoine Bethea's grill first.
Well, I think that's what Tom Sula is saying through the officiating crew.
That is the end of the first quarter.
That will be the final play of the opening quarter. 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns by the Cardinals in a 14-0 lead. Numbers from the opening quarter. This will be the first play of the 2nd quarter. Shipley checks in as an extra offensive lineman, 1st and goal. An early movement.
False start, offense number 68. 5-yard penalty.
Been an ugly start
remains
to this
first
game
down.
for the left tackle, who's a good one in Beldier. His 3rd penalty already.
And we were talking earlier about, can an offensive running back have a face mask penalty? They can use the hand to the face as a straight arm. That's legal, as long as he doesn't grab the mask or twist the head, anything like that, which Chris Johnson did not. Antoine Bethea, as a defender, cannot have his hands on the face mask and do the twisting. He got the penalty.
First and goal from the 6, and Johnson will power his way into the end zone. First touchdown is an Arizona Cardinal for Chris Johnson.
What a nice job by Chris Johnson of finding a little crease and scooting his way right into the end zone. Came right up the middle.
And we've been talking about the Cardinals, their lack of run game success over the last decade. I think they finally have an offensive line that's built for it again. Bigger people up front, massive people movers like a Jonathan Cooper, who they drafted, is now healthy. Beldier coming over from Oakland. When they get Yapati back in for Larson, that's what they want, and that's what we just saw there with Chris Johnson able to get into the end zone.
Bobby Massey is back for the first time all year today after serving a 2-game suspension. And the point after is good. Kaepernick and the Niners, long way to go, but trailing by 21 in the desert. Impressive indeed. 10 plays, 81 yards, first offensive touchdown of the game for the Arizona Cardinals, who are the highest scoring team in the National Football League.
How about Chris Johnson, his first rushing touchdown in his last 15 games?
Hard to believe. Such a dynamic force all those years in Tennessee. DeAndrew White will bring it out of the end zone. And like last week, fails to get the ball to the 20-yard line.
So 2 of the scores go to the defense of Arizona. The first one, they're in man coverage. They get Tony Jefferson over the receiver, and he blitzes. And back deep in man coverage is Justin Bethel. Coupled with pressure, he makes it. Now they go to quarters coverage. 4 defensive backs. Each gets a quarter of the field. And Kaepernick, as Tony Siragusa noted, throwing off his back foot and late, falling away from the play, puts it up there for Tyrann Mathieu for another pick 6.
You know, with so much time to go in this game, the 49ers, it'll be interesting to see if they're going to get away from their original game plan, which is handed to that guy. And obviously on first down, he carries for 11 yards, does Carlos Hyde. There's so much time to go.
I think it's an excellent point, an excellent observation, and I wouldn't think about getting away from it just yet. They need a drive to settle their team down, if nothing else. Get some first downs, move the football, try and get the team a little more calm, because right now they've really been hit hard.
Payne checks in the backfield, and now Kaepernick will use his legs, slides his way up to the 39. So a good start on back-to-back runs, first by Hyde and now the scramble by Kaepernick.
We talked about how good a job this defense did of staying in front of Kaepernick. Watch how big of a hole opens up right in front of him. If he sees that, he's got to go and run exactly what he did to keep the ball moving downfield.
Well, he's already run for nearly 6 yards per carry this year as Kaepernick, and we know what a dynamic runner he is. Back to the hands of Carlos Hyde, and he slips one tackle, but unable to get away from Buchanan, who originally hit him and stayed with it.
Wow, Buchanan looked like a linebacker filling that hole.
And that's how they utilize him. He's used a lot as an extra linebacker in the game. He's listed as a defensive back, but most of the time he'll be aligned like you would have a middle linebacker, like a Mike Backer, right in the middle of the defense.
They got to change his number.
They changed it from 36 to 20 this year.
He needs a 50.
Third down and a yard. Hyde will pick up the first down. Well, it looks, it depends on the spot. Depends on whether his knee came down. And now pushing and shoving going on. 3 Cardinals getting tangled up on the far side with Blake Bell.
Well, where I saw the foot of the official, Tom, he's nowhere near the first down.
So his knee must have come down. And he is short. They got a punt.
It looks like they had a little trouble there. Kaepernick, see that? Trying to get the ball too high and off of the center snap. May have messed up the timing just enough. An excellent penetration by the defensive front of Arizona. They moved the line of scrimmage back from where the ball was snapped to about 1.5 yards behind it and snuffed the play.
Well, they had the same exchange problems between that pair last week in Pittsburgh. It had been their only turnover the entire year before the 2 pick sixes today. Patrick Peterson up to the 20-yard line. Beautiful Sonoran Desert just outside of Phoenix, AZ. And their NFL team is rolling.
Today's game is sponsored by the Ford F-150. Every other truck is history. By Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. And by DraftKings. Free 1-week fantasy football at DraftKings.com.
There's Jim Tomsula, the new head coach, and there's Anquan Bolden, one of the most fierce competitors you'll ever meet on the sidelines, competitively talking about how they're going to get things fixed.
First down, Palmer. Great protection. And off the hands, had a flag from way back in the secondary, all the way back in midfield.
Looks like we're keeping up pace with the flags from the graphic you showed us earlier, Tom.
You're not lying.
Illegal contact, defense number 53.
And DeMar Bowman cannot believe it. I mean, he's 25 yards away from where the ball is thrown.
Here's Bowman, 53, in coverage. Remember, you get the 5-yard rule, and he's past 5 yards, and he knocks down Daniel Fells.
It's a penalty.
I mean, it's one of those things where a lot of times when you ask officials, they say people want us to keep the flag in the pocket, but if they're committing penalties, we get graded too. We have to make calls, so it's a very tough task for those men in stripes.
Johnson puts it back to the inside. We'd love to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching today in 175 countries aboard ships at sea on AFN, the American Forces Network. God bless you all. We cannot thank you enough for serving still the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. And of course, Pat Tillman served his country, enlisted in the U.S. Army prior to the 2002 season, became a member of the elite Army Ranger unit, was killed in Afghanistan in 2004. Flags down. Johnson stays on his feet across the 40, enough for a first down, but we wait and see on the penalty.
And I think they're going to get a free play out of it and get a bigger gain than the penalty. Looked like Tony Gerard, Eddie, number 63 for San Francisco, jumped.
Offside, number 63 on the defense in the neutral zone at the snap. His penalty is declined, and the result of the play is a first down.
See, Carson Palmer's bummed out right now because quarterbacks love to get that free play and fling it downfield and hope for something bigger. But they'll take the gain from Chris Johnson. That will count as an explosive run for him. Anything over 10 yards, that's what runners are looking for.
And that's his longest carry so far as a Cardinal. Trying to add even more than that, and will. Inside the 35. Still on his feet, down to the 29-yard line.
Watch the hole to the right side come free. Freeze. And right there, now he's got the vision to see what he sees downfield. Able to put a move on Eric Reed and slip that tackle before Tremaine Brock's able to haul him down. They were wondering how much Chris Johnson still has in the tank. Just had a birthday on Wednesday of this week. He turned 30. Told Jay Glazer last week how fortunate he is to be here after the offseason shooting. He looks good.
There's a run of 30 for Johnson. And for those of you that don't know, he was involved in a drive-by shooting during the offseason last March. Was shot in the shoulder. Another man was killed in that drive-by shooting, and here he is.
Yeah,
after being signed very late in the preseason.
And he told Jay how fortunate he was that he was checking a text message and it moved his body, and that bullet went by him and unfortunately killed the person he was riding with, so he knew how fortunate he was. And what a nice feature on the Cardinals in our pregame show today, and they're living up to it.
Looking to to the end zone. In and out of the hands of John Brown. The defender, Tremaine Brock, went to try and knock it down, and once he whiffed, it looked like a sure touchdown.
Couldn't throw that ball any better.
But maybe because he whipped Tony, that knocked out John Brown's concentration. That might have been what saved Brock. See that? As he jumped in front, maybe it was enough to take away the eyes of John Brown and take away the concentration. See that? Well, Brock's in front of him, and it hit Brown right where it was supposed to, right between the 1 and the 2, and he couldn't bring it in.
What a throw is right. Third down, blitz coming. Palmer steps up, delivers. Brown trying to get to the end zone, and he is stopped at the 2. Palmer, like Roethlisberger, is just shredding this 49er defense.
So here's John Brown, number 12, working from a tight slot, working on Tremaine Brock.
Number 53,
beats him inside, and then back outside. And Palmer, you talk about locked in. He is sharp as can be and delivers perfectly. And how great was that? Right after Brown drops it, he comes right back to him and puts it on him.
And Brock just stopped. He's got to finish the play.
Bell's in motion. They're going to throw it. And through the hands of Jermaine Gresham, the former Bengal. You know, already 4 plays of 20 or more yards. You look back to last week, on throws of 30 or more yards, Roethlisberger hit on 5 of 6 for 239 yards. The most such completions in an NFL game in over a decade.
And most of those came on an average of 3rd and 8 plays. And there's A.Q. Shipley, the center, who's reported ineligible.
That's Tony's new buddy. Nice play right there by Glenn Dorsey to bring up 3rd and goal. Tony likes those big guys coming in to block.
You got to love them. I like getting a lot of weight there, going and reporting. And
yeah, but Tony, you want to see him slip it and get out into the flat and catch one, don't you?
I really do. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I want to see the big guys go and have a little fun out there, catch a touchdown, run to the sideline, holding the ball, put it on their mantle. I enjoy that.
Tell him to run the route directly at you, and he's got a shot.
Exactly, right down here.
3rd and goal. That's Shipley in the backfield in the I formation, leading the way, and Johnson with a touchdown. Well, we were just talking about the backup center, A.Q. Shipley out of Penn State. The lead blocker out of the eye.
Now that's a fullback.
And he's had experience with it before, guys, because Shipley was in Indianapolis when Bruce Arians was there, and he operated as the backup fullback there as well in these goal line and short yardage situations. So when he got to Arizona, B.A. said, hey, remember what we did in Indianapolis, big fella? Come on back and get some more.
I mean, look at the body on that guy. He's almost as big round as he is high.
Oh, I know
he's as tall as his belt. Is that what you're saying?
And not many want to stand in when he's going straight ahead.
Not a chance. Please, Mr. Shipley, don't take that as a knock.
He looks like a football player. Love it.
Going after is good. That's a 60 short jacket, right? Blows a hardcore sports fan.
Big time.
Big time.
Big time. Hey, you think John Stamos was taken aback a little with the title of the grandfather? I mean, just yesterday it was a teen idol.
You're right. You're right. Used to say that about Charles Davis and Tony Siragusa at one time too. The penalty flag down.
We never made it a Tiger beat, Tom.
Well, I'm not so sure of that. This has just been a dreadful start for the 49ers.
Offside, kicking team number 10. San Francisco has taken the option to have the penalty enforced with the re-kick.
All right, so we're going to do it again.
That's Britton Golden, who was on their practice squad most of last year, a wide receiver. He's active today because J.J. Nelson has a bad shoulder. Hurt his shoulder last week in Chicago when he muffed a punt.
So this will give the 49ers an opportunity to return the ball at least. They could use some good field position, get that offense moving a little bit.
Well, the 49ers in week 1, they had a rock-solid game. Wasn't a perfect game, but a 20-3 win against the Minnesota Vikings, a team that has not lost, by the way, since they won their last 2. But then last week, trailed 29-3 at halftime in Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger, the monster game. And by the way, Ben Roethlisberger appeared to have a very serious injury today in a Steeler win in St. Louis. That's the Cardinals' next opponent, the Rams. We got beat 12-6 today at home. This will be White bringing it out of the end zone. He's not fared well doing that the early part of this year, and this time up to the 25, the ball is loose. The 49ers
recovery number 50 of San Francisco.
Nick Ballore able to cover it up after the fumble by White caused by the special team Pro Bowler Bethel. Welcome back to the Grand Canyon, state of Arizona. Cardinals 28-0, 7:40 to play until halftime. The 49ers need something good to happen on this drive. 1st and 10. After nearly fumbling away the kickoff. Read option, Carlos Hyde breaks a couple of tackles. Boy, he is a strong runner. Well, some of the headlines from the early games: a stunning comeback. Devontae Freeman leading the charge for Atlanta. Philadelphia gets his first win. And the Bengals' A.J. Green, 10 catches, 227 yards. The Bengals remain unbeaten, winning in Baltimore. I don't know if Tony Siragusa saw that score. Look at Carlos Hyde.
He's running with a vengeance.
You detailed before early in the game, Tom, the injuries of Carlos Hyde last week. He took a blow to the head, went through concussion protocol. He was fine. He also took a shot in the leg from Mike Mitchell, the safety from Pittsburgh, and that really set him back. But today, doesn't appear that those injuries are having any effect on him.
Granted, his team's losing 28-0, but he's done well. Very little protection for Kaepernick, who we mentioned was sacked 5 times by the Steelers a week ago.
And if you look at sack numbers, you'll notice one thing. Mobile quarterbacks usually are at the top of the charts in getting sacked. And most of the times you wouldn't think, they think, oh, they're mobile, they'll get out of it. But what happens is they want to keep a play alive so long, they never give up on it because of their athletic ability, that they often run into them as well. Russell Wilson's like that, Michael Vick, Colin Kaepernick. Check the numbers.
Hyde, or rather Davis, I beg your pardon, who checked in for Hyde. Some extra pushing and shoving again. And Patton came leaping into that pile.
And that's where the flag came. That's a flag that's just totally unnecessary. Quentin Patton going to help a teammate, but diving into the fray like that in front of all the officials, that's just going to set his team back 15. I bet that they would have broken that up with no flags if Quentin Patton doesn't hop over the pile.
Well, you could read Coach Tonsula's lips saying Q, Q, and then giving him that look of disgust. Now the call.
After the conclusion of the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 11 on the offense.
Yep.
This occurred after the play was over. 15-yard penalty, and it will be 3rd down.
They've had a big emphasis on that from the league office about that 3rd guy in, pulling people off of the pile when things are going on. You know, they try and drag guys out, which often leads to another skirmish breaking out, and the league wants it cleaned up. I'm telling you, there wouldn't have been a flag at all on that play. They would have broken it up, gone back and played. Quentin Patton caused the one.
So 3rd and 6 becomes 3rd and 20. First catch by Bolden. A minimal gain, and the 49ers will punt it away with 5:30 to play until halftime. Kaepernick last week, for the 4th time in his career, threw for over 300 yards in a game. It should be noted, however, that only 61 of the 335 passing yards came in the first half. And by then, while not over, it was over.
It's 29-3 at the half, Pittsburgh. And so now you're throwing the ball more extensively, a few more soft coverages.
Was that contact made before Peterson tried to catch it? Apparently not.
No flag.
It was L.J.
Amazingly, no
getting
flag.
down the field. Cardinals lead 28-0. 4:54 to play until halftime. Arizona in front 28-0. Carson Palmer 8 of 13, 143 yards. But without a passing touchdown. David Johnson wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. Aaron Lynch on the stop.
And a rare, I'd say rare, but a first down run. And the way Bruce Arians calls a game where he's just attacking all the time reminds me of a game I called a few years ago. The Saints and the Dolphins. Tony Sparano was head coach of the Dolphins. I asked him about Sean Payton and his play calling. And he said, oh, Sean loves to call the game from the left-hand lane. Well, if he calls it from the left-hand lane, BA's calling it from the commuter lane. Okay? He's going from that express side.
And he doesn't have 2 people in the seat.
Don't worry about it.
Crossing pattern. Johnson breaks 1 tackle. Wrapped up in the 22. 3rd down coming up. And we check in for the first time thus far today back in Los Angeles. Game break time with Kurt Menefee.
All right, another shutout going on. Buffalo. Tyrod Taylor to Shady McCoy. His first touchdown as a Bill. They're up 14-0 on the road at Miami. Tom, Charles, and Tony.
All right, Kurt, thank you. Of those teams unbeaten going into week 3 that have already played, Atlanta stays 3-0. Carolina goes to 3-0. New England 3-0. Cincinnati 3-0. Green Bay and Denver still have games to play. And, of course, his Cardinal team trying to go to 3-0. Underthrown, he had a wide open Michael Floyd in midfield. And Palmer is hot.
This doesn't happen very often because he's been so locked in, has been Carson Palmer. Floyd all the way at the end there, running a little skinny post. And they're unable to connect. And just by that reaction, that almost feels like maybe that wasn't the route Carson was expecting.
Well, that's the thing about Michael Floyd. We asked Bruce Arians about him yesterday. Here's Haynes. And the Australian down the right side. And run out of bounds at the 12-yard line. 2-time MVP of the Australian Rugby League. His first big impact play now playing in the NFL.
And this is why he was able to adapt to the game so well. Yes, he fumbled the first one he returned on Monday Night Football. But this is what he's used to doing as a rugby player. What do? You evade, you dodge, you make your way without what? Blocking. So now he's actually getting blocking, but that's what he's used to doing. That's why they've got him back there. That's a natural play for Jared Haynes.
And he has a helmet.
A 37-yard return by Haynes. So the Niners in business. First down. Throw and catch to Bolden, and it's 1st and goal, 49ers at the Arizona 5.
And what's the difference on this play, guys? When they threw to Anquan Bolden the last time, it's 3rd and 20. That's not where he works. 1st and 10, though, and you stick it right on him. Look at him on that post. Another big boy route for him. Runs with strength and makes the catch.
Well, the 49ers really missed Carlos Hyde last week in the red zone. Although nowhere to go this time, a penalty flag comes in. The Cardinals swarm to Hyde in the football. Okafor the first one there.
Holding, offense number 65. This penalty has been declined. Result of the play, 2nd down.
With a 28-0 lead, you're not worried as much about field position. Take the down, don't give him something new. That's Jordan Devy playing right guard. He and Eric Pierce, 71, the right tackle, really struggled at Pittsburgh last week, working on getting their timing and continuity down as new members of the offensive line.
Ugly day all around, not just the 49ers offense. But a chance to make something good happen here at the end of the half. Kaepernick fakes it to Hyde, turns the corner, finds the end zone. Colin Kaepernick gets the 49ers on the board, a 12-yard touchdown run.
So watch at the mesh point here. Freeze. Okay, so see, you got Okafor, the outside linebacker, crashing inside. Who's outside to take Colin Kaepernick? That's why that play is so tough to defend. When you don't have anyone outside and they move inside on the fake, that allows Kaepernick to scamper to the corner and into the end zone.
It was very interesting, some of the comments made by Kaepernick during the week, where he said, you know, I'm allowed now to be myself, not being asked to do things outside of my character, which he made a point in our meeting with him yesterday.
We asked him about that.
Yeah, you did, and he said, in no way, shape, or form was that any kind of shot at Jim Harbaugh. Kaepernick, the touchdown in the final minutes of the opening half. 2:03 to play until halftime with Charles Davis and Tony Siragusa, Tom Brenneman. 28-7 in favor of Arizona, but at least something good has happened for these 49ers, Charles, leading up to halftime.
Yeah, finally they got a little continuity, but it was set up by a monster punt return by Jared Hayne, who has come to us from the National Rugby League in Australia, and he did what he does on the rugby pitch. Made people miss, natural evasion by him, and he actually gets blocking, and as Tony Siragusa said, now he's got a helmet and pads. So this guy's something else. He's a two-time MVP there. Set it up, big pass to Bolden, and then the read option for Kaepernick to go in. That has to feel good for the 49ers. Now can their defense do something before the end of the half?
Well, he goes from playing for the Eels.
The Parramatta Eels.
And that was over the last 9 years. As you mentioned, Charles, twice Player of the Year. Said he wanted a new challenge. Was courted by the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. Signed a $100,000 contract to play for the 49ers. Had an outstanding preseason. And a big punt return sets up the touchdown. And Arizona going to come right at him. 2-minute drill. And the catch and a throw to Brown up to the 40, a first down, which takes us to the 2-minute warning.
This is the 2-minute warning.
Get apps, video, and so much more at iTunes.com/NFL. 1:54 to play until halftime. Cardinals leading the 49ers 28-7, first divisional game for each team so far this year. Carson Palmer on first down, lofts it into the hands and through the hands of Darren Fells.
Could not have been thrown better.
Tony, you were saying before we went to break how important you think this drive is for the 49ers defense.
They have a little bit of momentum right now offensively with scoring the touchdown. Now the defense has to come out, have a stop here in the 2-minute drill, okay, and then come out in the second half. They're going to receive the ball. But if you let Arizona come down the field, put points on the board right now, they're going to take the momentum away from you. This is huge right now, but we're seeing guys run wide open in the secondary. They've got to play tighter here on defense and get some rush on Carson Palmer.
Big pressure coming.
Yep, here they come. Palmer rolls out to the left to get away from it. Delivers a perfect pass. Just short of a first down by a yard to Fitzgerald. So to bring up third down a yard. One thing that has happened today that has not happened to Palmer in the first 2 weeks, he is getting hit.
He got hit a few times in Chicago, but nothing like what you're seeing today, as you've noted, Tom. Look at Eric Reed getting up in his grill. But to date, Arizona, and I'm about to put the jinx on them, aren't I? They haven't given up a sack all year. But as you noted, the pressure is there, but Carson Palmer is handling it.
Well, that's because he gets rid of the ball so fast, Charles.
Yep. And that rollout there really gave him a clear sight line.
Third down the yard. And that is a first down for the rookie David Johnson. If you haven't seen these Cardinals play, well, you talk about making an impact. He is the first player in NFL history to record a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and a kickoff return for a touchdown in his first 2 NFL games. Johnson stays in bounds. Clock continues to run. The Cardinals have 2 of their 3 timeouts remaining. They'll spend 1 now.
It's an awfully impressive stat about David Johnson, though. I mean, talk about out of the gates.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, Jimmy. We'll talk about Tom Brady joining that 400 club today and the injuries we brought up early to Ben Roethlisberger, who was just off the charts last week against his 49er team.
Could not have been more locked in himself, could he? I mean, those big plays that you noted earlier in the halftime, there were 6 of them that they had on in an average of 3rd and 8. Where he shredded them. There's 244 yards worth of completions on 6 passes from Ben Roethlisberger.
And he seems to be getting better with age, this Big Ben, since leaving Miami of Ohio. Palmer hit as he throws, just throws it up in the air. And it's intercepted by Acker, still on his feet. Breaks 1 tackle, breaks another, wrapped up by Massey at the 19-yard line. So Palmer throws his first interception of the game, his 2nd of the year.
And he will be the first to grade himself down on this play, because the pressure does get there this time. Looked like Tremaine Brock, I believe, 26, and he threw it up, as you noted, really for grabs. That was a hope throw. That's not normal for Carson Palmer. He usually has a really good idea of what he's doing, getting rid of the ball, but he put it up there and kind of hoped Michael Floyd would go up there and get it. That's one he'd love to have back, but that happened at the end of the half last week against Chicago, late in the half when they were still pressing the offense.
That looked like the throw that Colin Kaepernick had earlier, going backwards, floated, and it wasn't intercepted for a touchdown.
And the 49ers are going to try to make something happen. They dump it off to Patton. He steps out of bounds, stopping the clock up to the 26-yard line. They have an outstanding field goal kicker in Phil Dawson. Not only accurate, but a big leg. In fact, Dawson is the most accurate field goal kicker in NFL history.
He was 84% in Cleveland. That means you're kicking in Cleveland in November and December and January.
It's not kicking in this dome in Arizona. Have all 3 timeouts left. Crossing pattern, he missed Torrey Smith. First time we've called his name all day today. If they complete that pass, that's about a 15, 20-plus yard pickup.
You know, standing right behind the offense, watching Colin Kaepernick drop in the pocket. When he's standing here, those offensive linemen are right in front of him, Charles. He's having a hard time finding his receivers downfield. I think him just sitting in the pocket is hurting him. I think he needs to move and use his legs more to find those openings, to find those receivers downfield.
Kaepernick looks down the middle of the field, and it's intercepted. Terrible throw. Matthew, his 2nd interception, and now the Cardinals have a chance to score before halftime.
This defense has answered, and they've been called upon time after time in this game in this first half.
And Tony Siragusa made a point that Colin Kaepernick maybe was having trouble seeing from the pocket, but on this one, Tony, this appeared to be perfect sight lines for him.
He saw everybody.
Watch this. He's able to see this. Freeze it right there. Look at that. You're able to see it. And then when he doesn't see, or he just totally misses, is Tyrann Mathieu running underneath the receiver, right at the hip of the receiver. He tries to put it over the top to Vernon Davis, and Mathieu had that swallowed up because he was underneath coverage, his second interception, and he made a young Cardinal fan very happy.
Oh, look at that little man. He is fired up.
Previous play will go under review.
You talk about show and tell at school on Monday.
And he'll be able to bring the NFL on Fox video right along with him.
Oh, no, that's me.
Well, they're taking a look to make sure this is indeed a clean interception. We'll be back.
And this is what they were checking. Tyrann Mathieu, did he step out of bounds? And right there, no, he's good. He's clean right there on the pick and takes it back. And now Arizona on the plus 25-yard line gets one more shot before the half. Colin Kaepernick's third interception thrown in the first half.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The Arizona player did not step out of bounds, and his return is valid. First out.
Kaepernick, his last 5 games against Arizona, had thrown 1 interception total in those 5 games. 3 of them in 9 total pass attempts today.
And this gives Carson Palmer a chance to redeem himself for his interception, because you know Bruce Arians is going to have him take it downfield.
Blitz coming. Palmer rolls, and beautifully defended in the secondary by Dante Johnson.
You see John Brown, number 12, going in motion back towards the line of scrimmage to create a bunch formation. Then he breaks to the sideline, and Dante Johnson was a safety most of the time in college. But with that length and people looking for those long corners like Seattle plays with, Johnson moved to the corner in the NFL, uses the length to knock it away.
Quick throw, catch made by David Johnson, and he's to the 17-yard line, about a yard, maybe 2 yards short of a first down. The Cardinals will spend their final timeout of the half. So the Cardinals out of timeouts. Are they going to go ahead and kick a field goal? It doesn't appear as though that's what they're going to do.
With 16 seconds, you got plenty of time to run a play and then kill the ball. Not kill the ball, but then have your team come out and try a field goal here, guys.
Cardinals, I mean, so impressive. We saw them last week, Charles, and now here they are, a chance to add to this 28-7 lead going into halftime.
Defense got them off to a roaring start. 2 pick sixes for touchdowns. They've really snuffed San Francisco most of the first half. Offense, of course, has been extremely efficient, saved the interception thrown by Carson Palmer. And right here before the end of the half, because there's trust in Palmer, they're going to try one more shot at the end zone before they have to try and kick a field goal, if that's even necessary.
Now the 49ers are going to call timeout prior to this 3rd and 1.
In this situation, guys, I don't know. I would try and find where Larry Fitzgerald is and keep your eye on him. If you're a defender, that's his go-to guy, Carson Palmer.
And that would be a great idea to always know where Fitzgerald is. What's interesting is you know how much he loves John Brown, does Carson Palmer. They've had an incredible rapport. And not normally do you think of your littlest guy down in the red zone, do you, Tony? But John Brown's a guy that Carson Palmer likes to go to in any situation.
Well, before they called timeout, John Brown and Larry Fitzgerald were in a bunch pattern off to the right-hand side. To see if they go back to that. Yes, they do.
And just as you noted, you got the 3 receivers together. It's not a tight bunch, but they're all clustered together.
3rd down, Palmer caught by Floyd. Do they have enough time to spike the ball? They're out of timeouts. Palmer rushing them to the line of scrimmage. Snaps it, and with 1 second left is able to put it on the ground. Now hold on a second here. Well, everything's okay. Palmer was worried that there might be some debate as to whether or not they got it in before the clock expired. This will be the first time the Cardinals have been in the red zone in the first 3 weeks of this season where they will not come away with a touchdown unless they fake it.
But what a well-executed play in order to get to the line of scrimmage to give them the chance for Chandler Cantizero to kick a field goal.
22-yard field goal try. He was so good his rookie year. And in year number 2, punches that one through. 2 of 2 on the year. 31-7 at halftime. The Cardinals a half away from going to 3-0. Let's go to Kurt Menefee and the gang in Los Angeles. The Visa halftime begins right now. Today's excitement brought to you by Nissan, the Arizona defense in the opening quarter, returning a pair of interceptions for a touchdown. Bethel followed by Matthew, and the Big Red off and running at a 31-7 halftime lead. All right, Charles Davis, Tony Siragusa. We'll check in with you in a moment. Obviously, an entire half of football. 49ers were very impressive in the second half last week. Can they mount some kind of a comeback?
They can if they just stay true to themselves. I don't think they're in a position now. I know it's 31-3 and you think they're going to throw it all the time. That's not who they are. They've got to do what they did in Pittsburgh last week. Run the ball as much as possible. Still take their shots downfield when they can. But don't get so far out of it, because this Arizona defense, they'll swoop on every mistake you make.
Andrew White took a big hit, bringing back the return by Kenny Devins. How about it, Tony Siragusa?
Guys, I had a chance to talk to Bruce Arians, and this is exactly what he said word for word. I said, Coach, what did you tell your team at halftime? He said, if I see anyone out there relaxing, I'll be looking for new people on Monday. Keep your foot on their throats and finish this thing. Wow. I love it.
You remember what he said their first meeting after their win last week at Chicago? He told them they weren't worth anything. Right out of the gate to try and keep them humble. That's BA.
Kaepernick to throw it on first down. Excellent protection. Has all day to throw. And throws his 4th interception of the game.
That ball was just a floater again, guys. Doesn't have his feet set on the turf. Threw it just using his arm. The ball floated. And you can't do that with this secondary. They're too fast. The reactors, they come right to the ball. And that's exactly what you're going to see. Another pick.
The no-fly zone is in full effect here at Arizona. But as you noted, Tony, as he drifted out, he thought he had enough to get it past the underneath coverage. And Gerard Powers, who is the mentor of everyone in the secondary, the guy they send to when they want people to learn the overall defense, he showed his athleticism running down that football that was thrown a little short, intended for Torrey Smith.
Boy, did we enjoy our conversation with Gerard Powers on Friday. What an engaging, smart, articulate young man. And he's still a young man. He might be the veteran in this secondary, but he's only, what, 28 years old?
28 years old, and he already has a post job lined up. We'll talk about that after this play.
First down, they hand it to Chris Johnson. And maybe a gain of 2 on first down.
So, Tony, you're in the middle of your career, and everybody talks about post-career, have it lined up. Gerard Powers has had a job lined up for a few years now, because when he was at college at Auburn, his defense coordinator is Will Muschamp. We used to go to him all the time and say, let's talk game plan, and only with him. And then told him when he graduated, when you're done playing, any staff I'm on, you have a job. Did you have that lined up when you were playing, Tony?
I can't say I did, Charles. I can't say I did. I'll tell you what, that's impressive. That's impressive. He's got to know the game, and a student of the game.
And that is Jermaine Grisham, the one-time Bengal standout tight end, coming off back surgery during the offseason. A career high. 4 interceptions in 1 half and 1 throw.
And real quick, just to put a cap on Powers, you know what my favorite part was about him? He talked about pulling the secondary together and doing all this stuff. He's an Auburn grad, and he married an Alabama grad. And he will not allow her to display her diploma in the house. He said that's not negotiable. That's hardcore right there.
Well, anybody who knows anything about that rivalry knows how hardcore it really is. Palmer dumps it off. Uncovered is Johnson. And what a cutback. Johnson inside the 5. My, oh my, what a run by Johnson. People forget how unbelievably fast Chris Johnson is.
Ran a 4.24 40 at the combine coming out of college. He's not that much slower than that now. And look at the vision and the cut. How about that going in between the two 49ers? That was absolute vision where he saw the cutback on the dime and brings it back across field.
Yeah, it looked like Navarro Bowman thought he was going to run out of bounds on that one and just stopped. That's how he had the cutback.
See that right there? There's your point, Tony. Navarro Bowman not able to close, and CJ2K takes it back inside.
So no challenge from the 49ers sideline. Palmer. Fitzgerald takes a lick, hangs on for the touchdown. Oh, what a hit he took from Tart.
Guys, I was 2 feet away from Larry Fitz when he hit the ground. The ground shook. I cannot believe he held on to that ball.
Look at him.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Fitzgerald's listed 6'3", 218 pounds. Jaquaski Tart, 6'1", 221, and known for his striking ability coming out of college at Samford. And the veteran goes into the briar patch and puts another 6 on the board.
Point after is good to make it 38-7. So after the interception, Palmer finds Fitzgerald 3 times a week ago. It shook the ground so hard it turned Siragusa's shoes blue. Colin Kaepernick, 4 interceptions today. The first 49er quarterback to throw that many interceptions in a game since Trent Dilfer in 2007 at Carolina. Off the 4 49ers turnovers, Arizona has scored 24 points.
Flip side of today is Larry Fitzgerald, and it came out the first 2 pass plays of the game. Larry Fitzgerald, big impact downfield, and that is not slowed at all as he and Carson Palmer are dialed in. 3 finding 11 in all quadrants of the field, including the end zone with that last touchdown. What a catch by Larry Fitzgerald.
So nearly an entire half still to be played here in Arizona. They turned and handed to Hyde, who ran the ball very well when given a chance in the first half, and that's a gain of close to 6 yards by Carlos Hyde.
Charles, I got to ask you a question. You're in a situation right here. You're down by 31. Your quarterback obviously is not throwing the ball very well. What do you do as an offense? Down that many points. The quarterback has no confidence. I don't know what you don't do as an offensive coordinator to try and get this team back in this game.
I think you play it like the game 0-0 and run the heck out of Carlos Hyde and try and get your offensive line some reps right now to get ready for Green Bay next week.
Let's check in with Kurt Menefee for a game break back in Los Angeles.
I don't know if this will make Kaepernick feel any better, but this is the 3rd interception Ryan Tannehill has thrown today, and he's at home. A pick 6 by Buffalo's Preston Brown. They're up 43-yard touchdown. Buffalo leads at 27-0. Tom, Charles, that's the biggest halftime lead they've had since 1992.
So did not hold up well against New England last week. Kaepernick is still on his feet, and he'll try and run for the first down, and he will get there. So elusive is Kaepernick, breaking the tackle of a would-be sack by Okafor.
And when you've thrown 4 interceptions, sometimes you don't pull the trigger as fast on tight window throws when it hasn't been your day. See, there's a couple of guys there that when your confidence is high, you might think about sticking it in there. But when you've thrown 4 picks, you want to make sure you see them open before you throw it. That might be where Colin Kaepernick is at this stage of the game.
First down, he'll throw. Good protection this time, and now he'll run it. Defender thought he was going to just slide down in front of him. He breaks it to the outside, picks up 3 more.
Known this young man since he came out of college. The one thing I do know is he will compete. Not his day, but he's going to continue to compete. He and his 49ers offense want to see what they can get going now as we see James Betcher, the defensive coordinator of Arizona, who's called a masterful game on his side of the ball.
Off the left side is Matthew.
Tony?
Yeah.
Before the game, you and I and Tom were talking about the possibility of a spy showing up on Kaepernick from the Arizona defense. I haven't noticed it, and they don't need it today. But you think with guys who are mobile like that, this secondary is well equipped to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they are, but I think they have so much speed. Their eyes are always in the backfield. They play as a unit unbelievably. You know, right now, I don't think they need a spy. They're playing as a good unit. The defensive line is staying in front, except for a couple runs that we saw. But I think as a unit, they're getting it done.
Well, Carson Palmer, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 257 yards, but his defense spotted him to a 14-0 lead before he really had to do anything. And they've never looked back.
And that secondary's been all over the place. There's Patrick Peterson again locking up on Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith, no catches on the game, just 1 target with Patrick Peterson shadowing him.
Kaepernick sacked all the way back at the 31-yard line. Frosty Rucker. Golden also there, the rookie out of Missouri. Frosty's been around a long time, and look at the big fella.
Got some hops too, doesn't he? Look at the push you'll see up front, the defensive front of Arizona. There's Golden 44, but Rucker comes around on a twist move, and he doesn't just flush him, he gets him. He gets home, as they like to say, Tony Siragusa.
Absolutely, nice and tight. The hole was there.
Tony, did you ever do a jump hip bop with anybody after a sack?
Belly jumped. I did it all.
That's Britton Golden. A belly bump. That's nice. Boiler bump. October means baseball. FS1 will be the place to be for the American League Division and Championship Series. It all begins October the 8th on FS1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
That's going to be some great baseball, too.
38 points. Most against a 49er team all time for Arizona. Kaepernick, we mentioned, a new career high. 4 interceptions. And Arizona taking full advantage of the interceptions, ringing up 24 points off turnovers.
And one thing I believe we thought we would see a little bit more of today would be David Johnson as a running back carrying the ball for Arizona. But Chris Johnson has played so well. I get the feeling that Bruce Arians just wants to keep him going. He's in the groove. Remember, he came to camp late. Didn't get a lot of work in preseason due to some injuries. And now you get Chris Johnson really moving. I think he just wants to make sure he keeps carrying the ball.
Well, he'll give it again. Stays on his feet. Pile moves forward. Very close, depending on the spot, to a first down. Johnson averaging just under 6 yards per carry. Now he had the 1 long run, the 30-yard run. And of course, he has scored a pair of touchdowns.
And remember, they're slated to get Andre Ellington likely back next week. So you talk about an assortment of riches in your backfield. If you get Chris Johnson up to snuff, you bring Ellington back, who's their lead guy. Look out. And then Mike Iupati is supposed to come back next week to help fortify the offensive line, but Ted Larson's played well.
Sure has. Stephon Taylor on 3rd and a yard, his first touch today in his 3rd year out of Stanford. His alma mater keeps right on rolling. They had a couple of games, one right down the road and another down in Tucson, where both schools in the Grand Canyon State had a rough night. Pro team's been a little better.
Yeah, it's been the Cardinals are rescuing the weekend for the state of Arizona. It's a tough one. U of A, UCLA jumped them pretty hard. And of course, USC pounded Arizona State last night.
Boy, that was indeed a pound. Beautiful throw. Palmer takes another big hit, and he's taken a lot of them so far in this game today. That one from Buffet.
And Eric Mangini, defensive coordinator, is not lightening up on the pressure with San Francisco. It's Antoine Buffet. Safety blitz, bounces off of the block, and then gets the hit on Carson Palmer. But how about Palmer staying in there and dropping a perfectly placed pass into the secondary for Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, knows he's going to get hit and keeps his eyes downfield to make the throw.
How about that touch, Tony, with all that pressure in his face, still has the right touch over the linebacker into the open spot. Well done.
Fitzgerald now 8 receptions for 127 yards. This is his 40th career 100-yard receiving game, his 9th against San Francisco. And he has more of those against his 49er team than any other opponent.
Back-to-back weeks over 100 yards. Larry Fitzgerald. We keep talking about, every year you keep hearing about, okay, Michael Floyd's probably going to be the lead guy. No, and there's his old partner, Anquan Boldin. Remember when they were together in a Super Bowl run? Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Boldin, very tough combination.
Fitzgerald calls Boldin the toughest dude I've ever met in my life.
How about that story he told us about, remember when Anquan Boldin took that big hit in a ball game?
Against the Jets.
Against the Jets, looked like he was knocked out and he had blood running on his face, and Larry said it affected him so much he was crying. And when Anquan came to, the first face he sees is Larry Fitzgerald, and he looks up at him and says, "Yo, why you crying?" What's with the tears, man?
Do I look that bad?
I mean, Anquan's like, come on, we're going to keep playing. And Larry's like, my man got hit.
That's when he broke his jaw. Had to have multiple screws and pins put in his jaw, his chin. Facial fractures. A guy was in uniform on the field 2 weeks later. And Palmer is sacked. First time today, first time all year. And that's from the rookie, Eric Armstead, their #1 pick.
And I think he's going to keep getting more and more playing time as we go along, because in limited amounts, see, Navarro Bowman flushed him first, but Armstead got a nice push against Jared Veldier. But in limited snaps, he created pressure in Pittsburgh. And they talked about his progress. He'll keep getting more playing time.
And that will be down inside the 5. Beautifully covered by Bethel. They mentioned he's been to the last 2 Pro Bowls, and here's one of the reasons why. The 49ers backed up inside their own 5-yard line.
Guys, got a quick injury update. Number 57, Alex Okafor. He was questionable return with a finger. He went into the locker room, so we'll keep up on that.
Tony, thanks. 5 completions, 4 interceptions thrown by Kaepernick. And this is a safety.
That's what penetration does. These guys up front on this defensive line for the Cardinals are playing tremendous today.
Quicker off the ball, too. Watch them on the snap, and then they move things. And the first guy to penetrate in there was Frosty Rucker, 92.
Yeah, and then Rodney Gunter looked like.
Yes, and then Gunter, 95, the rookie, follow him. Look right there. See, and then here comes Kevin Minter, 51. Dayon Buchanan, 20.
You got a little extra juice in you when you're a defensive lineman on that 1-yard line, knowing that you can get some points.
Another 40-point effort by this Cardinal team, and we're only in the 3rd quarter. They're averaging that many points per game. The season streamed live local Sunday afternoon games right on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. Tony, it can't be much prettier down there than it is from up here if you're a 49er fan.
I'll tell you, you know, you're a baseball guy. What's it called when you get a single, a double, a triple, a home run? The whole
cycle.
A cycle. It's almost like what else could possibly happen to this 49ers team? It's like the bottom cycle. I mean, it's interception after interception, safety. I don't know what else can possibly go wrong for these guys.
You know, I made the comment a moment ago about Larry Fitzgerald hitting the deck right in front of you, and you said the ground shook.
It did. I felt it right up from my shoes all the way to my head.
But did it turn those shoes blue, or did you wear those blue suede shoes today?
These are in honor of Elvis Presley. Just to let you know, Tom.
Well, you're looking good.
You like them? I'll let you borrow them.
You are looking good.
I'll let you borrow those.
Yeah, those are about, what, a size 15?
Yeah, they are size 15.
I think Carl Perkins is going to want some credit for that, too.
You can see the whole
not
thing?
just Elvis. He's going to want a little piece of that, too.
I mean, looking good.
Those are sharp.
Nice.
Look at you, moonwalking
Tell
in
you
it.
what now. Big fella still nimble. What, 12 operations?
Come on.
16.
I wish it was 12.
I think he's got one pass rush left.
Johnson on second down. Dropped to the line of scrimmage. We check in once more with Kurt Menefee for a game break.
All right, let's check out the Seattle Seahawks hosting Chicago. Tyler Lockett drafted in the 3rd round out of Kansas State for special teams ability. I think they were right. Punt return for a score in the opener, and this 105-yard kick return today puts them up 13-0 over the Bears. Seattle looking for that first win. Tom, Charles, Goose.
Of course, he's an interesting young man because he played for Bill Snyder at Kansas State, as did his father. In fact, he broke all of his father's receiving records there at K-State.
As did his uncle. Also played there. He's the 3rd Lockett and turned out to be the best one in terms of sheer numbers, and now he's carrying it out to the NFL.
Palmer sacked. I don't know if it'll go down as a sack. It looked like he crossed the line of scrimmage. And again, Armstead was the first one there, and the 49ers saying they have the football.
Eric Armstead, the 1st-round selection for the San Francisco 49ers, got a little bit of a slow start because he couldn't be in OTAs, mini camps due to Oregon still being in school. But boy, he's starting to come on now. Watch the interior, the defensive line to the top part of your screen. And then here he comes, falling back in. Eric Armstead is a long levered guy who plays with tremendous leverage for being someone listed at 6'7". And was the ball coming loose? And there's Navarro Bowman fighting with Carson Palmer for the football.
Well, Palmer sort of trapping that ball down in between his hands and his knees.
It was working its way free, guys.
That's definitely a fumble. And a penalty flag in the middle of all that scrum comes in. And guess who's standing right in the middle of it is Pat.
And that's the last place he needs to be right now after what happened earlier in the game.
After the conclusion of the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 53 for actions in the pile. 15-yard penalty will create a first down.
Wow.
So he said 53 first. Did he correct that to 58 or did he say 53? Navarro Bowman. Let's see what happens at the bottom of the pile. Because this has been a frustrating day for San Francisco. We know that. Okay, so Bowman coming right at you. He's diving on the football right now. And now they're in the football. Now they're trying to who's getting the ball. And you know what happens in these scrums, Tony.
Yeah, listen, I don't see, that's Navarro Bowman. I mean,
they're fighting
he sees the ball's out. I mean, that's his job to get the ball back. Defensively, that's what we're paid to do. I don't understand what that flag was for. I mean, he's just going in there. If the ball's out, I mean, you go after the ball. If it's, it looked like Carson Palmer lost it there. I don't get that one, guys. I don't understand that one.
Have to know a little bit more about what they said happened down there to cause him to throw the flag.
Yeah, sportsmanlike, I mean.
Not a lot of sportsmanship going on fighting for a football at the bottom of the scrum. That we know.
Yeah.
Johnson on first down. That would have forced an Arizona punt after the stop made by Armstead, but the penalty gives Arizona a fresh set of downs, leading 40-7. Tell you, we had a very interesting conversation with Navarro Bowman yesterday, and everybody knows what a great player he has been since coming into the league from Penn State, and then had that horrific knee injury causing a fumble in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. Johnson keeping his legs moving and short of the first down. It was one of the ugliest injuries. In fact, he told us that he's never gone back to watch the video, but he has a picture of when the injury occurred that he looks at constantly when he's at practice, when he gets up in the morning, to give him motivation to get ready to practice daily and then to play in games.
He said he knows where to find that picture, doesn't he, Tony? So he can look at it and make sure he's working to get back to being the player he was before. He doesn't want to change his game at all. We'll talk about that after the snap.
They're down. Palmer looking for Floyd. Great coverage.
This might be offensive interference, guys.
Great coverage here by Johnson.
I mean, that was terrific position by Dante Johnson. That's textbook training tape right there. That's how you show DBs how to do it.
Offense, number 15.
Well, listen, this is what you need to do. Michael Floyd right here. He knows he's outmanned right here. Body position. He doesn't have a chance to get the ball. Instead of making it an interception, go up, become a defender, get the ball, knock it out.
Pass
so
interference, offense number 15. The penalty is declined. The incomplete pass creates 4th down.
Good role reversal there, as you pointed out, Tony, by Michael Floyd, turning into the defensive back to prevent the interception.
Yeah, when you get into the meeting room on Monday, the defense coordinator will say, okay, we'll take that one.
Yeah,
or the offensive coordinator, I'm sorry.
No doubt. Now you give your punter a chance to drop it inside the 20 instead of an interception occurring and bringing the ball back out to the 20.
Trying to pin him deep again, and this one bounces through the end zone. 49ers get it at the 20. 35 seconds remain in the third quarter. Take a look at this. Nearly 1,000 games have passed since a Cardinal team had 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns and a safety in the same game. Did it against Green Bay in 1949.
Man, that's Jimmy Conzelman time frame for the Cardinals. One of their legends.
You come up with these names.
Do you remember that game, Tom, in high school?
All right.
I had to throw it out.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't want you to keep it coming, big man. Keep it coming. And I'll make sure that Zach in audio knows where the off button is on Tony's microphone down there. Kaepernick going to keep it and slide his way up to the 30. 3 quarters dominated by the unbeaten Arizona Cardinals. '49ers with the football from their own 29. Been an outstanding effort by that offensive line of the Arizona Cardinals. Once again, they've run it a little more today than they have so far this year, averaging right at 4 yards per carry. Mike Davis up to the 33. Although, you know, you think about it for a minute, and maybe I should correct myself. If you take away the 30-yard run by Chris Johnson, that means they've run it 23 times for 63 yards, which really isn't very good at all.
Not what you're looking for in terms of, you know, how you want to continue to run the ball. But what they'll tell you, as always, will really bring that up. They'll say, yeah, but he did.
Exactly right.
So we'll take it.
Take the handoff, and reading it beautifully was Lamar Woodley. Right now, let's check in with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles.
Well, with all the talk about whether or not he was frustrated being in the offense in Seattle, you kind of felt this was coming. Jimmy Graham from Russell Wilson, 30-yard score against the Bears right now. They're up 20-0. Seattle looking out for win number 1 this year. Tom, Charles, and Tony.
Kurt, it should be noted that Marshawn Lynch left that game with a hamstring injury. It also should be noted that Russell Wilson has been sacked 4 times in that game by Chicago. They hand it off on 2nd down to Davis.
Remember our discussion earlier in the game about mobile quarterbacks. You check the sack numbers year in and year out and look at a quarterback and say, oh, he's mobile. He moves a lot. His sack numbers probably won't be that big. It's usually inverse. Those guys keep plays alive. They never want to give up on a play. They hold the ball longer, and people get to them. As we see Vernon Davis over on the sidelines, questionable to return today.
Bring up Kaepernick. He was sacked 52 times last year. He just throws that one away. Who's more mobile than he is?
And we always look at the offensive line and the other guys and we say, hey, what's going on? It's not always just, it's not them. There's always an element of a group with it. Does he get rid of the ball fast enough? Will he hold it longer because he believes in his athleticism so much? I'll make a play. And you don't get a play. So you end up with another sack. Go look at the numbers. Michael Vick over his career. Russell Wilson's a mobile guy. It happens a lot to those guys. Brady, Manning, they get rid of the football, and they're nowhere near mobile.
Beautiful punt by Pinion. And it will bounce out of bounds right at the 20-yard line. 12:57 to play here in Arizona. And the home team rolling. That amount of time away from starting a season at 3-0. Palmer turns and hands it off to Chris Johnson. Shot down by Will Hoyt. Boy, they love Bruce Arians here in Arizona. Some call him the quarterback whisperer, going back to his days. Peyton Manning's rookie year, then Roethlisberger's rookie year, interim head coach Andrew Luck's rookie year, and now with Palmer here in Arizona.
He started out with a mullet there, it looked like. Love that.
I just wish we saw the Kangol back then. That's not a new thing for him. That hat he loves to wear. He's been wearing that most of his life.
Beautiful throw, and this time it is Jermaine Gresham up to the 45.
But let's go back to what you talked about, Tom, what you kicked off about Bruce Arians being a quarterback whisperer, an offensive guru. How many times did he get overlooked for a head coaching job in this league? How many times did people say, yeah, but we're going to take someone else? We were just in Chicago last week. It was him and Mark Trestman. They took Mark Trestman. He got this job. Bruce Arians has proven that he should have had this job a long time ago. Howie Long talked about it on our pregame show about how many times Bruce had been overlooked. They're so glad he landed here in Arizona, aren't they?
Well, it's not only a head coaching job. I mean, consider the fact that, you know, while he was a Steelers offensive coordinator, they went to the Super Bowl 3 times during his run. And it wasn't always because of a vaunted Steeler defense. They became an offensive force with him there.
Remember the Super Bowl they won against his Arizona team. How did they finish it off? A big drive late with a big-time throw and catch. Bruce Arians' offense ends up capping off the Super Bowl. So, you know, he had one coaching opportunity as a head coach at Temple in college when it was just a disaster of a job. It really made him sick. Remember, he's had migraines each week trying to get to the hospital and try and get back coach's team. He's in the right place now.
You know, you talk about fate as Johnson slips a couple of tackles, first down to the 35. When you consider, even though there's a 20-year age spread between the head coach of the Cardinals and Bruce Arians and their outstanding general manager, Steve Keim, they grew up one town away from one another, and they have formed an extremely close bond where they spend a lot of time together, just the two of them, getting away from, you know, the crowds. And Keim has just done an incredible job here, sitting alongside their Michael Bidwell. You know, you look at Keim took over in 2013. 7 years he was a college scout, eventually became the director of college scouting. A total of 15 years in the personnel department here in Arizona. Pro Football Talk has awarded him the Executive of the Year. The last 2 years he made a stunning 217 roster moves last year alone.
And you remember they had to play 4 quarterbacks last year. That's part of the roster moves, and they still got to the playoffs. Steve Keim, he was on the right. In the last picture you saw him, Mr. Bidwell, Michael Bidwell, the owner, on the left. David Johnson runs so hard, doesn't he? Went to college, was a wide receiver when he started there at University of Northern Iowa. Became a big-time running back. A couple of times Division I AA or football championship subdivision All-American. But going back real quick to Keim and Arians, that note that you guys gave, one town over. That meant that they could speak the same language in a lot of ways. Typical upbringing. You know, that Pennsylvania shorthand to each other allowed them to get close quickly. They work quite well together.
Of course, Tom Sula is also from Pennsylvania. Him and Tony really hit it off. Tony, all his years playing in Pitt. You know, Tom Sula has that heavy Pittsburgh accent.
They knew all the same places. Tony, you guys hung out in the same place, but did you know each other during that time?
No, we didn't. But Pittsburgh, let me tell you, is a small town. And you know, the things he was talking about, the areas, we both, I'm surprised we didn't run into each other. We probably did, but I probably didn't see him. He's a lot shorter than
me. No, you probably big time. You're probably big time.
Never. No, I don't do that. We do not do that.
Can't believe you guys didn't throw down an Iron City or two together.
Yeah, probably did.
You know, and to be accurate, it is the Bidwell family which owns this franchise. I don't want to show any disrespect toward William Bidwell.
Michael is the kind of the guy in charge now, right? Running it.
Bidwell and his wife, Nancy, celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary this year. Had a number of chances to be around William Bidwell. He was a very controversial figure in this area when he first brought the team from St. Louis here, and they weren't playing very good football for a long time, but he was always such a pleasant man the rare times you had a chance to run into him.
You guys talked about Bruce Arians also. We found a couple pictures. You know, you talked about that Kango hat. I'll tell you what, I remember back in Temple. I mean, that's the regular hat that he wears now, and then
league mandated. He can't wear the Kango during the game.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is. There's the red one. There's the white one. He has assorted colors. The black one.
And you know how big he is now, Tony? that they're monogrammed now. It says BA on the side or the back of them now. Oh yeah.
He's sports him, man. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, you're the head coach now. You can get your initials on the side of the hat. What a job he has done. And, you know, last week we talked a lot about Carson Palmer being in a blowout game. Well, this is a bigger blowout today than what we saw last week. I think we can go ahead and put it to rest. If you ever watch an Arizona Cardinals game and Carson Palmer's in like this is what Bruce Arians does. We play throughout. I'm not worried about getting guys out of the game. And he's at peace with it. Carson Palmer's at peace with it. So if anything goes awry, they're not going to lose an ounce of sleep on the whole thing. That's how they play the game. As you see Drew Stanton, the backup, standing there watching.
Well, I bet money that if they score here, should they get the football one more time, that he might actually come out. It's very close to a first down. It's Armstead coming up to make the stop. Well, the Cardinals so impressive these first 2 weeks, but what about today? First time since 49, 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns along with a safety. Back-to-back 40-point games for the first time since their St. Louis days in '69. And the most points ever by a Cardinal team against the 49ers. And look at this. On 4th down and less than a yard, leading 40-7. They're going to go for it.
And they did bring in A.Q. Shipley again, lined up on the wing, back up center.
They didn't need much. He didn't get much, but it looked like enough. Stephon Taylor.
And Tony, I don't think this play was called to try and rub anything into San Francisco. This feels more to me like Arizona working on their short yardage stuff. What do you think?
Absolutely. You know, now with the collective bargaining agreement the way it is, you only get so much time on the field and in pads. So, you know, this is all going to help this team to just get better and better. At this point in time, he's got to be thinking, listen, we need reps in the short yardage and the goal line to evaluate players. Are we doing the right things? You don't get much out of practice because you're going against a scout team. But in a game like this, you get a lot out of it.
Tony, you were telling a story about some fans dressing up a long time ago in Cleveland. Turn around and look at your monitor. I want you to take a look at the big fella here.
Wow, I like that. I like that. He's got full gear. He's ready to go.
He's ready to play.
Just in case they need him, he's ready to go in the game.
that reminds you of like a college 12th man situation, doesn't it? Although I'm sure that college down in College Station probably want to bill me for that one.
This guy wants the coaches to make sure. He wants them to know who he is. That's all. He's got his name taped on the helmet. As that one is incomplete.
You know what he missed? The days of remember when the squads all had the open tryouts where everybody, we had one-day open tryouts, and that's where the Philadelphia Eagles found Vince Papale.
I like the face mask. That's like a kicker's face mask. So you can't wear that when you're a lineman. That guy's a lineman body with a kicker face mask. See, the eyes are exposed.
When he makes a team, Tony, you get him the mask.
Yes, we're going to change that up. We're going to get the bar down the middle so we can't get the eye poking in the scuffle or in the pile off.
Well, we're coming back here again next week.
Okay, we'll look for him. We'll fill him in.
We'll screen to Fitzgerald. He'll find the end zone. What a day for Fitzgerald. Back-to-back 100-yard receiving games. First time he's done that since the final 2 games in 2011. He has scored 5 touchdowns the last 2 weeks.
And San Francisco was actually very close to foiling this play. Looked like Antoine Bethea had a read on it and just missed it. And it's been that kind of day for San Francisco. Even when they figure it out and have the right idea, they're not able to get it done.
I talked about it in my open. San Francisco fans, this is not the same defense that you guys had over the last couple of years. And they got to find their identity. They got to come together. They got to go and bring some pressure up front. They got a lot of work to do on this defense to be where they were last year.
And they have to face Aaron Rodgers and the Packers next week. But it's all about the Big Red today. And the big fella. Cardinals and the 49ers join the NFL, and all 32 clubs celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. NFL launching a campaign called the Feel the Orgullo, which means feel the pride. If I had messed that up, I apologize to all of you. Andrew White going to bring it out. 47 points for the Cardinals, and big time play there by Britton Coleman. And a big time day for a second straight week for a future Hall of Famer. But week 1 for the 49ers, a very impressive win on a Monday night against Minnesota. But these last 2 weeks, humbling.
And big plays have been a big part of it. Think about the yardage they gave up in Pittsburgh, the big shots downfield by Ben Roethlisberger. Larry Fitzgerald, big day today on the perimeter again.
Catch made on the first down reception by Garrett Selleck in his 4th year out of Michigan State. That trio right there is combined for a grand total of what, 2 catches today?
Yes, and Anquan Boldin had both of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Not a catch by Torrey Smith, not a catch by Vernon Davis. That ball squirts loose, incomplete pass. Of course, Kaepernick has only completed 6 passes the entire day for a total of 41 yards to go with a new career worst 4 interceptions.
Look at how fast Gerard Powers closes it on that play. He read it, got underneath the attempted block by Blake Bell, the tight end, makes a nice play on the football, knocks it free. He's not just a smart football player, he's an excellent athlete as well.
And he secured the tackle with wrapping him up.
Turn around and hand it to Davis. Hyde has taken a seat. And depending on the spot, we'll see if he was able to get a first down. And it looks like he is short. Where'd they get it? He got it.
Guys, I know it's early in the season and we have a long way to go. We know that. But this secondary of Arizona's, they're going to challenge for being recognized as one of the top ones in the league. Without a doubt in my mind.
Selleck again. Of course, his brother Brent Selleck. They grew up in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, both at LaSalle High School. And Brent has had a great career with the Philadelphia Eagles.
And he stayed home for college and went to Cincinnati.
He did. And
Garrett went to Michigan State, as you noted a moment ago. But this secondary, I know there's a Legion of Boom within their division. The no-fly zone, or the flock as I like to call them, they're going to challenge for supremacy.
Kaepernick avoids a sack, still on his feet. And a little shovel pass is incomplete.
Kaepernick trying to make a play, and Mike Davis wasn't prepared. Let's take a look at this secondary. Lock it down to Andrew White on one side. Quentin Patton, number 11. Blake Bell, 84. And that's what Colin Kaepernick was trying to see. He was able to go to both sides of the field. No one open. And then he was flushed out of the pocket.
Selleck once more. 3 catches on this drive for him. Really been injured his first 3 seasons and never really had much of a chance to play for Selleck.
Just last year, he missed the first 11 games, and then he comes back and hurts an ankle after that, ends up on the IR. Good to see him back. They know that he's known as a blocker, but they have wanted him to get more involved in the passing game, and they're able to do that here late today.
High snap. And just throwing it away is Kaepernick. All right, well, we've talked so much about this Cardinal team. Charles, you asked I thought, a very interesting question during the commercial break, and I'd like to throw it out and turn it around to you, and Tony, you as well. Of the teams that started the day undefeated, every one of them that has played is going to win or has won. Atlanta now 3-0, big win in Dallas. Carolina 3-0, beat the Saints without Drew Brees. New England in a rout goes to 3-0. Cincinnati on the road in Baltimore goes to 3-0. And either tonight or tomorrow, Denver and Green Bay also with a chance to go to 3-0. And naturally, these Cardinals, of all of those teams, at least those today that have officially gone to 3-0 will include Arizona. Cardinals the best looking team or most impressive so far, or would you say somebody else?
I put them in that conversation, but you raised a nice point when we had the conversation. Schedule-wise, think about who has had more, the types of wins that they've had. Right? New England opened up the first night and had a real pitch battle on their hands on opening night. So far from what we've seen, Arizona, I think, is very good. I can't wait to see them play some of the better teams.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to get a chance to play against that AFC North moving forward. And that's a division generally that puts
that's going to test you.
2 or 3 teams in a playoff.
You've played AFC North, as you know, Tony.
Yeah.
That's a tester.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, they got some serious defenses over there in the North. But, when I look at the Cardinals, offensively and defensively, they're, in the 2 games that we had, last week and this week, they have dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And I think that's a huge, huge plus for this team. I don't see a weakness. Their secondary is fast. Their linebackers come up. They tackle well. Offensively, they have great receivers. They have speed. They have the slot guy and Larry Fitz. They have the recipe to be a really, really good team.
And you know what else they have? They have the attitude of their head coach driving them. This team takes a backseat to no one.
Only one place on television where bad is so good this season on Gotham. Villains will rise to a new level of criminal chaos. Gotham, Rise of the Villains. Catch an all-new episode tomorrow night, right here on Fox. Drew Stanton will get his first snaps of this 2015 season. Went 5-3 as a starter on 2 separate occasions, replacing Carson Palmer. Initially had a shoulder injury in the first week last year, came back, then out for good after the knee injury.
And he takes the hit in his stats, too.
Yes, he does.
Because he gets the kneel downs.
Well, Tony reported at halftime his conversation with Bruce Arians is, you better not let up on the gas pedal here. I'll be looking for new people to play on Monday. They never let up.
This team listens to this head coach. They follow him. All right. You always talk about teams. Are they in the image of their head coach, of their great leader? This team totally is now. Both sides of the football. When James Betcher got the job as the new defensive coordinator, Bruce Arians told him matter-of-factly it was his job. But he also told him, we're making a whole lot of changes now. I like what we're doing. We're not going to change the language on defense. We're not going to change our scheme. I still want to be the attacking team, and that's exactly what they are.
This will be the 11th time a Cardinal franchise has started a season 3-0. It's the 2nd straight year they've done it, and that's only the 3rd time in history and the 1st since the 1920s. It's interesting. You look at the 5 winningest teams in the NFL since Bruce Arians took over. The first 3, I think, would be easy ones to guess.
New England, Seattle, Green Bay.
Well, Denver.
Denver, okay.
Green Bay, ironically enough, is not in that group.
Wow.
Since 2013, the next 2 are tied. That would be Arizona and Cincinnati behind those other 3.
And those are some of the best teams in the NFL this year as well.
47-7 our final today. We'll be back here next week to see these Cardinals once more as they'll host the St. Louis Rams. Colin Kaepernick and company will look for answers before returning home to take on Green Bay. We're back to Arizona to wrap up today's game right after these messages. You're watching the NFL on Fox.